including you. You know, just cozy kind of thing. Neighbors in the house. COVID-19 is back with a bang. I understand this wave is worse. So one has to be very careful.
Very careful. Very careful.
So I just be doing that. Okay. And I think as I was coming down to the station this morning, I saw all the young boys of the northern stock who are usually your Okada riders gathering around the place, and all of that. And I thought, well, maybe I should think of feeding these guys this season. So I just might be doing that.
Amazing. So in our only two way, just make sure in your only two way out listening, do well to just spread love and show love to people out there. Well, Sumba has a lot of reasons to celebrate this December. A lot of reasons. You should do giveaway.
I wonder.
You should do giveaway. It's so good. All right. Do well to be part of the newspaper review this morning. Send us a text or a WhatsApp message on 070-317-56537 to be part of the newspaper review this morning. 070-317 facing worst security challenge in history. This is coming from the governor of Gombe. And why Amotekun cannot carry firearms. This is coming from XIG Sunday Ehidero. NIN confusion as Nigerian Storm National Identity Management Commission Center shun COVID-19 rules. And COVID-19, federal government restrict religious sports gathering, youth parties, among others. Also, if soldiers cannot secure 20 kilometers from Maiduguri, how can they defend us? Governor Babagana Zulum. Also, Deeper Life suspend principal over alleged pupils' molestation. That story is horrible. And I've heard a lot of stories. There's a lot. Seriously, if parents know what exactly goes on in boarding schools, especially, I don't want to mention or indict anybody in school this morning because I went to private boarding school. I had a very good experience in my boarding school, but I had friends who went to some other boarding schools, and when they share their experiences with you, you will be amazed at what exactly is going on in especially this faith-based organization boarding schools.
I don't know about faith-based but you see, it's amazing. Next year June my class set at the secondary school. So if I left secondary school 40 years ago, you can imagine, that this thing has been on for such a long time.
Very long time.
Especially in the boys' hostel. Boys, I don't know what it is. I remember a very terrible, case while I was in school.
Okay.
And these boys, had taken a junior boy and tied a rope, to his manhood, and then tied the other end of that rope to a fan. And they put on the fan, and then, of course, as the fan was rolling, it was tying the rope around the boy's manhood. I think that even at that time, it was said that he might, not be able to bear children from that experience. The boys who did it were expelled from school. I still remember that very vividly. I have a memory like an elephant's. And sometimes, at that point in time, I could not understand what demon would go into the head of a young boy at that age. Because, by the time we were graduating from high school, the average age was 16. Okay. Of all of us. And this happened before we left. So you can imagine, I don't know what it is. So it would be number one, parental problems. Okay. It could be children, but the truth of the matter is I was going to say children from dysfunctional homes, well, which is true to an extent because parents can be married and that home is still dysfunctional. Yes. So it's valid.
Yes.
And then a lot of peer pressure. Okay, so you just need one bad egg who would pollute the rest of them who has this crazy, ideas. Now, as a girl in the boarding house, we had those kind of bullies, but of course not to that extent. The kind of thing we had was seniors asking you to go, fetch water for them and all of that. And I remember on an occasion that I had that experience, and I just simply told the senior I wasn't going. I think I was in maybe Form 2. We used forms in those days. As I wasn't going, and it was so terrible. So I went ahead and fetched my own water. So in the night, she came and asked where was a bucket of water. I said, I didn't fetch it. I left her because when she insisted, I took a bucket and I left it at the main tap. We had a main tap, which was far from the hostel, and so she took my bucket of water. And I wasn't going to have that. So all hell broke loose and the fight began. At the end of the day, I went and made a report to the vice principal. I would not forget Mr. Ligali at the time. And then he was like, no, the law here does not allow anybody to fetch water for you. You do your own fetching of water. And of course, it was a win for me, and all my classmates were like, and then of course, what happened was that you became, what do you call it, somebody to mark, that was marked for the senior students. But in the female hostel, we didn't have those kind of, this issue is always with boys. In this morning, I was going through the news, and some person wrote and said, I know the parents of those bullies in the Deeper Life School. And I was like, oh. And then she mentioned 2 names. But apparently this person described the bullying he was subjected to in school. And he almost got tears, out of my eyes. Terrible. And then she called out the names of those people. One of them is a doctor, and she said, you don't deserve to be a doctor. You still owe me apologies for the things you did. So look, the things we do when we're young have a way of finding us out. Well, because somebody, do you know what it did to me? Immediately I went to Facebook and Googled those names. And I might not be the only person
that had done that.
Doing that.
Yes.
So it's sad.
Man, there's a lot going on with boarding schools. I feel like a lot of my generation needs to actually come out and speak, because I had a fair share of being in boarding school, but I was this is not to brag, but I was a very chilled senior when I was in boarding school. But I had other colleagues of mine, students of mine, who I saw how they, mistreat other juniors.
They just think it's
and
fun.
Then they think some of them do it.
Think it's
and
fun.
then I went to pretty much above an average secondary school. So I'm in a secondary school where this is 2000 and I'm talking 2002, 2000. That's around 2000 was when I was paying as much as 100 plus as a boarding fee. That's at early 2000. That's a lot of money back then. And you see people come from very well-to-do homes, bullying juniors. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Your parents drive some convertible to bring you to school. You live in a very wealthy home. What is the excuse for
sometimes it's
this
an
behavior?
Avenue for releasing anger. That's why I say that a lot of these children come from dysfunctional homes where parents are not there, or when they're there, the mother is going away, the father is going this way. There's really no relationship, no love relationship, no reaching out to the children. That's pretty much happening in many of the homes that we have. But again, the schools themselves need to take responsibility and, do well to know the state of the children, of the students, and there must be avenues for reporting. Okay,
that is
there
something
must be
that is
avenues for reporting, that would make that would be safe for the one who's making the report. You drop the report, and then that would trigger off some people, leadership, to go find that, so that you don't put the reporter in a double jeopardy. So these are things that, people frown at boarding schools. Now, I had my experience of boarding schools, and I know some of the gains that come out of sending a child to the boarding school. And even though it's no longer, it's getting more and more less popular by the day, I insisted my kids would go to boarding school. And they did, and they enjoy it. And, it's one school that these things are taken care of. There's a forum whereby parents can talk and all of that. And, the kind of person I am, I do one-on-one. I hear anything, I'll go and take on the proprietor. They know me. So the major thing is that parents need to really be there, and really need to monitor, really need to listen to their children, and really need to be observant. Because some children will not talk, but if you are there, you will know. You will see these things. Sometimes these children try to complain, you just shun them off.
to the side.
Like
so, this boy story that went viral. I
I couldn't even read it. Oh, no.
Story. No, the woman
Those
was
things are traumatic for
very
me.
sensitive to
I
a lot of
understand
things.
it was about bedwetting or something.
The one that went viral for this Deeper Life School, when I read the story up, when I watched the video, the woman was like, she had a terrible dream about the boy. And then she went to the school to like, I need to see my boy. And then when she now saw the boy, she was like, something is definitely wrong. She could compare when he went into the school and what he looks like right now. The picture, the difference was something was wrong somewhere. And when you hear the kind of act that was done on this young boy by seniors, and I'm sure that boy is not the only one who has experienced that experiencing that by those seniors. I don't know where those demonic acts come from.
No, but you see, you said something about faith-based schools, and I think we need to talk about that this morning. Now, I've always had a little bit of a bad feeling, so to say, about faith-based institutions that come out with draconian laws. Okay, and honestly, there are universities, private universities, faith-based in this country that I won't send my children to, irrespective of what what name they have, or what or their ratings and all of that. Because look, I believe that when you are raising up a child academically, is not just enough. It's especially by the time you get to the university, it must be a total thing. So you don't begin to teach or to raise students in an environment that appears to be exclusive. When they have spent the 4 or 5 years in that environment with all the rules, don't wear this, don't touch this, don't have phone, where are you releasing them to? You're still going to release them in the larger society. That's where they're going to play finally. So if you have not prepped them in those years, you release into the society people who don't have a broad or an inclusive ability to face the things that you see in the real world. So for me, it's a no. Now, in the secondary school, now this is Deeper Life, secondary school, and I don't really want to fight any faith for their doctrines and all of that. But I'll tell you one thing that I personally have noticed with people who are strong devotees, I would call them, of such religion or faith or whatever you want to call it. It's like they cry more than the bereaved. They don't have a perfect understanding of what their leader is trying to preach. And so what they hear is the go and not the come. They cannot, of their own, decipher, you understand, the boundaries and all of that. And so and they think that the more they adhere to some of these terrible rules, the more they are seen as being pious. Has been truly religious. Now, I don't know. I can stay here and make a case for W.F. Kumuyi, who is the leader of that, of that institution.
Yes,
I am very sure he wouldn't support this. But what you have is, by the time you begin to put in these doctrines that are out of wherever, the people that you are dealing with have issues themselves. The people who are going to be propagators of this message that you are preaching, some of them are not even well read, some of them are not educated, no exposure, no nothing. And even sometimes when you have those who are educated, you see that this thing called religion is mad. It takes away, it takes away your brains, it takes away your ability to think through for yourself. So I don't understand why that should be so. And when they say the principal has been suspended, is a step in the right direction, even though it may not be necessarily directly involved. But the question, I don't know, I haven't read the story, but this happened under his watch. So I think that going forward, there has to be some, some review of the rules, of the school.
But
There has to be
yes.
review of laws of engagement and all of that. And another thing is that where is the government? You see,
the Akwa Ibom State government had actually had looked in there. They're on the case as we speak.
Yeah, we always do medicine after death in Nigeria. You understand? You know, there's a Yoruba proverb that says that the knife caught the child throws away the knife. The knife has already done what it's going to do, what it wanted to do. So, but what I'm trying to say, why I bring in the government is, yes, government cannot do everything by itself. So you can't all schools are government institutions. But the issue is that government needs to play its role as a monitoring agent. You know, to what are the set of rules that the government itself has put forward for the way and manner schools should be run, whether it's secondary, whether it's university. For instance, all these private Christian or whatever, you know, faith universities that you have, that we have all this kind of mad rules, the government should stand and not allow it.
Well, this is a conversation that we can't actually end now, but I'm really hoping that this boy's story is going to help expose other boarding schools with some of these activities that are going on, because you would be shocked that a lot of the teachers and, you know, school management do not have an idea of some of these things going on. They don't see these things when they happen. They do not have an idea of this bullying that is happening in hostels, the unnecessary asking juniors to do chores for seniors. A lot of the school management do not have an idea about this.
Because for all I care, this is the beginning of cultism now. That's cultism, as far as I'm concerned, that is being introduced. When you know, gag a child so much in fear that you let the child know that if you dare say anything about it, you are dead. What's that?
Well, let's go into more dailies this morning. This is the newspaper review. Let's get your comments on this particular one. We pretty much took our time to dissect this particular issue, and it's affecting a lot of us. A lot of parents who had experiences in boarding school have made it a point of duty for their children never to be in boarding schools because of their own experiences. So let's get to hear from you this morning on 070-317-56537. We talk security right now, and the Gombe State Governor Inuwa Yahaya on Monday asked the newly sworn in chairman of the 11 local government area of the state to take security of life seriously. Yahaya said the country was having difficulty in resolving security issues, and these were his words. He says, as we are all aware, Nigeria is facing the worst security challenge in history, and we must therefore put in place necessary measures to protect the lives and property of our people. So he says, I call on the new chairman to ensure that all measures taken are fully implemented and sustained in order to ensure the security and well-being of the lives and property of the people, he said. Now, but I want to take this headline alongside with Babagana Zulum. His words this morning, being disappointed in the military in failure to attack near Maiduguri. And this is a very cumbersome issue right now, because his word says Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Zulum yesterday expressed disappointment over the inability of the military and security agencies to secure 20 kilometers from the state capital on the Maiduguri Damaturu Highway, despite heavy investment made on the ongoing war against Boko Haram. Zulum spoke against the backdrop of last Friday's adoption of 35 commuters at Jankana village, about 20 kilometers from Maiduguri, by Boko Haram insurgents who laid an ambush on the Maiduguri Damaturu Highway. The governor, during a visit to the village to assess the situation, expressed anger over what has become a routine attack on travelers and villagers by Boko Haram. He said it was disappointing that majority of the attack within the last 2 years took place between the Anu and Jankara, a distance of about 20 kilometers. Now, you know, one governor saying we are facing the worst security challenge. Babagana Zulum made statements before now of
I was going to say, why is he double speaking?
Yes, of the security situation is better under the current administration, and now expressing disappointment. You know, these are issues that are all over the dailies this morning, and this is raising so much concern. This particular situation of security that is bedeviling the northern part of the country is every day, frightening the fear is just going up and up. And every time I wonder, what then is going to be when are we going to see the end of this particular situation?
Oh, well, Daniel, between you and I don't know. There are salient issues that we've constantly discussed on this platform. And that is one thing is that we don't seem to have a government in the country. That's one. And if we do, it's a government that is totally overwhelmed by the challenges of security and has not been able to do anything to, to curb it. We see that it's very obvious. Now, if you have the president go to his home state and at the same time, same day, you abduct, over 300 students, okay, that's in your face. It's like saying, what the heck can you do? You understand what I'm talking about? What the heck can you do? That's what it means. And unfortunately, we have a government that doesn't have the wherewithal to fight back. Now, let me take it back to the 9/11, challenge in the United States when the Twin Towers were hit and all of those things happened. First and foremost, everybody identified that this was a dent on the pride of America as a nation that prided itself as being, the superpower of the world, military strength and all of that. Now, they took that. It did had been done. They took that. But you know what? The after effect of that was a fight back. They were not going to let that go. And the way they fought back, they even went to the extreme. Took Iraq, began to say, and so many nations suffered for it. So many people suffered for it. And they did not relent until Osama bin Laden was captured and killed. And, it was something they needed to have end. But Nigeria doesn't have that kind of wherewithal. Because by now, if we did that singular incident that happened with the president being in Katsina and that happening, on the rebound, the military that I know would have gone around to let them know that we are in charge. But they're not in charge. And because they're not in charge, they can't do nothing. Now, what does that do to us? It continually exposes our vulnerability. It continually exposes and, shows to the world that we have absolutely no defense. We are like a football team that is playing and there's no goalkeeper at the post. So everybody can just be, throwing the ball, and it's just going in on challenge. That is the terrible situation that we are in as a nation. The question now is, how do we get away from this situation? Getting away from this situation would need a proper and a thorough analysis of what the problem even is in the first instance. And how did we come out? Now, the Boko Haram, the terrorists, all of these things, they have a political aspect to it. There's an economic aspect to it. There's a religious aspect to it. You understand what I'm talking about? Yeah. There's a social aspect to it. Unless you begin to tackle all those different, aspects of this war, you're not going to be able to do anything. You understand? There's a political aspect, and I would explain that. Nigeria is one nation where politicians don't give a hoot what happens to anybody, and they can sell their mother to get what they want. Okay, so political opponents themselves can do and undo, do everything just to discredit the government in power, so that it will pave a way for them getting into government at the next elections. Now, I'm not trying to say, this is exclusive or peculiar to one party. When the PDP was there, APC did its own. APC is there now, PDP is doing its own, I believe. Now, when you go to the economic aspect of it, every time people are kidnapped, these people are paid ransom. So it has become a lucrative business, if you know what I'm talking about. Okay. And why not? If it brings money, why not? So that is there. You have the social aspect of it, in the sense that there are too many children on the loose.
Okay.
It's a nation that did not do anything about population control. We don't even know who we are. It's a nation that has failed in educating its teaming, children and youth, and especially in the north, where they have a challenge with that from time immemorial. And
Yes.
despite several, admonition, the north refused to listen to the words of wisdom, and so it becomes an albatross. You understand? And then, when you talk about the economic implications too, I must also add that we're in a situation where the country is broke, there's recession, there is unemployment. Unemployment is also part of the social, challenges. So you have all of these things. And of course, there's the religious aspect of it. People that are wrongly, tutored in the provisions of their religion, and who think that the more I kill, the more my attainment of paradise, is assured. So wait until you are able, Daniel, to tackle this issue from all of these fronts, you're going to be having a problem. And again, our military, if you have something and you keep taking away from it,
Yes.
and you don't add to it, it doesn't matter how much it is, one day it will finish. I don't know what we do with recruitments into the army, into the military, not just soldiers, I mean Air Force, everything. I don't know how much recruitment we do. For instance, every year, how many new people do we put into these institutions? You understand? Because the numbers must agree with the need. How many military? What's our military strength now in terms of number?
Okay.
In terms of numbers, and how many are we supposed to have according to UN, guidelines and all of that? These are issues we need to look on. Then you also want to look at the institution in itself and its management. The senior officers are up there. The rank and file, the disparity is so much. What do we do to them, with them, in terms of welfare, in terms of even provision of the tools with which they are supposed to fight this war? Nobody goes to war empty-handed. You understand? These are terrorists who are carrying AK-47s or even maybe more sophisticated weapons, and you want our soldiers to go with their shakabula. How do you do that? Look, we keep talking about the fact that just a single American was kidnapped, and America, the number of things that America deployed. First and foremost, you want to ask yourself the number of men that were deployed, and then the different arms of the military. I'm sure the Air Force was there, the Army was there, and all of that. And just to rescue one person, they came all the way. How many miles to fly into Nigeria? Look at, do we have that kind of, do we have that kind of strength?
Okay. A lot's happening this morning. We're going to be taking some messages right now, but do want to send us a text or a WhatsApp message on 070-317-56537. I am having difficulties getting your messages. I'm definitely working on the network to ensure that I get your messages. So if you have sent me a message and I do not read it, just know it hasn't dropped yet. All right, I want to.
Name has been blocked.
Right? You mentioned that right now. I think I'm just gonna have to mention that to my producer this morning.
Okay.
All right, now let's talk about this confusion that we are currently facing right now. The huge confusion that NTC gave about a week ago with regards to everyone who has a SIM card has to link their SIM card with their national identification number. And approximately we have about 46 million Nigerians who are currently registered with NIMC. But we have over 170 million people, or over 200 million people with SIMs. We have over 200 active SIM cards in this country. And although the extension has been made to January 18th and January 16th for those with NIM 16 and those without NIM to January 19th or so. I was reading that report earlier as of this morning. But yesterday, we saw that, places like Lagos, Abuja had crowds storm the NIMC office and they shunned COVID-19 rules. It was funny. I was reading a tweet that said you went to shut down a club for operating when you said, social centers should be shut down. And then what happens to this crowd that were out there yesterday, trying to get this done? In fact, we had reports yesterday coming with regards to some of these places. The forms were being sold. The forms to register for the NIMC was being sold instead of, this is what's supposed to have been made free for everyone. But some places it was being sold. Some places were paying as much as 5,000 naira to register for the NIMC. That's for those who have not registered at all. And this confusion is really worrying on why this pressure on Nigerians at this time when there is a pandemic. Should this conversation even be up now? There is a new string of this coronavirus, and everybody's trying to shut their borders. We have not even done that. What we have done is to increase the 2021 budget by 506 billion naira.
And we have opened our borders that were shut.
We've opened our land borders.
Mhm.
Minister of Finance is saying all other borders would be open before the end of the year.
Okay, Dan. Let's take it one after the other. First and foremost, Nigeria appears to be, well, he's not even appears. They are a confused people when it comes to government institutions. The first thing that you see is that it's one country that I see that there's never or hardly a synergy,
Okay.
Among the different MDAs, of government. Now, the issue of trying to link your SIM to your identity number should not even be the job of the citizen. It's something that should have been tackled at that level of one organization linking with the other one. You understand what I'm talking about? And it shouldn't be the duty of citizens to be scrambling here and there looking for how to get this done. And like so many people have clearly identified, how many registrations are we going to do in this country? How many? The BVN, when we did that BVN, every other thing should have followed suit. I mean, just I think it was early this year or somewhere, where sometime when I got the message that MTN, because I use MTN as one of my numbers, they were going to block your line if you didn't update something. And I said, by the time I got to the place, I said, how many times are we going to update? Excuse me. That at least, if I recall, we have done this updating up to 5 times. What exactly is the problem? So I don't understand why the national identity, number couldn't have been linked to BVN and SIM card from the onset. At that level, you understand, of the organizations, coming together. It's so simple. I don't know why. So there's no need to put the, citizen under this stress. That's one. Number 2 is let me say something. Some I think it's nine mobile that still doesn't even have a hang over it.
They're getting the hang of it. I think I saw a picture yesterday.
I hope so.
Because
they said they are still trying to put their act together. Now, we'll put that on one side. On the other side is the timing, like you say, is wrong. The timing is wrong because of COVID-19. The timing is not even adequate. You do not tell millions, something that has to do with millions of subscribers, to happen in less than 2 weeks. What should happen? What is it that they are looking for that they didn't know they had to get long before now? That's another thing. And then, you now get to the people. I personally, no matter what, I would never have been caught dead in that place, not to talk of being alive there. To go and do what? Look, the government can't harass me. And we should get to a point where, and I'm sorry to say this, we also should begin to operate with sanctified common sense. If they want to lock the SIM, let them lock the SIM now. Of how many millions of subscribers you talk about, let's see how the the service providers themselves, let's see how they will generate money. If you lock all and say, hey, be making the calls yourself now. Do you understand? And that's the thing. But what I think happened is that a number of those people who went there had not even registered
At all. Yes.
Because when this thing came up, I didn't even, I didn't pay attention. They're on their own. But when I began to see the numbers, I think it was only yesterday, I sat down and said, okay, let's see how this thing is. So I brought out my slip, I did slip, which I'd done since 2017. That I did it. In fact, I had a broken leg. My leg was in cast and I was wearing clutches. When I went to the third floor of a school to go and do this registration, and up till now, I don't have a card. They said the number is on the left-hand corner. There was no number on my slip. Absolutely none. What am I going to do? So I went, because I wanted to do for the MTN line, I went online. And I saw the form, I filled the form. When they said, put in your number no day. So I went back to all the different information I've been getting on social media and found out that, look, if you do the *346#, you understand, it will give you some kind of. So I did it, 20 naira. That is not going to kill me. Immediately I put it in. My number came out straight. I went back to the MTN website, put my number, and voila, it was done. So now the question is, I don't remember how many years we have been on this registration for national ID. If I did mine 3 years ago, obviously it's been on for more than 3 years.
Of course, it has been.
Nigerians didn't bother. So this set of people are lastminute.com.
We have over 100 million people that lastminute.
Lastminute.com. But you don't really blame them too much. Another issue is that when Nigeria does this kind of thing, the government does not try to make it easy for us. There's nothing wrong. We did BVN now. Did we? It wasn't this bad. Why must we all go to some office to go and get this thing registered? They brought it, when I did my own, it was brought to a school.
Yes.
You understand? You could go to several places. Banks could do this for you. You have your station in you understand? So that you don't have to be crowded in one place. And then you don't have to spend your entire day going to do one stupid registration where the government doesn't do anything for you. You have to fend for yourself. Who is going to commit that time to it? So the government has a lot of failures in that area. But at the same time, there was a time when there was a lull. People were no longer rushing. And you could enter into these offices and do it. Nigeria, those are the category of Nigerians that now went last minute and became a crowd. You understand? So it's all about the government strategies being faulty, and flawed. Government, government does things without care, they just do what they like.
All right, let's take some messages right now. 070-317-56537. 070, this is the newspaper review, and we're taking headlines across the dailies this morning. And additional, Wasiu says, on the same link to NIN, I don't understand Minister Pantami, who is doing this now, like he's living on another planet. What you get when you put someone who is not on merit in a position in that kind of place? All right. Additional Wasiu in the corridor. He says here, what kind of government will ask the people to keep safe from COVID-19 and at the same time gather in another agency to register for NIN number? This government has no thinking tank. Hence, they cannot afford to shut down our airports to stop the spread of the coronavirus infection in Nigeria. This is coming in from Elder Johnson in the Mude. Mr. Wale in Barua says, I dialed *346 and my NIN number was sent to me, but I never visited their office. I was informed that if you have BVN number, your bank would have done NIN for you. Okay, I'm not sure about this information. He says State Barua, but
I think I read something like that.
Okay.
It's likely that if you have BVN, those things would have been done.
All right. Okay. Yes, this is coming from Richard in Ijushaga. It says, just like Sumbo said, Kumi can never be happy, and no sane parent in deeper life can be happy with this act. My take, I think such bullying students should be suspended, and the school should create a kind of blow whistle platform where victims of unfair treatment can report their cases without fear. Richard from Ijushaga. All right, let's take some more messages here. This is pretty lengthy. Dear Mark in Ikeja, it says here, but I wouldn't want us to much to blame the faith-based schools for moral decadence. I am in education sector and I relate with not only private sectors but public and international examination bodies. This thing we talk about, immorality, cuts across all schools. Same report we can record every day in the international communities. I told the professor a few months ago that Nigerian students are more serious and better than the international community. I say so. So please, let's take it easy and keep preaching good morals to our children. And like Sumbo said, parents should have time for their children. All right. This is coming from Odia Mark Idikeja. All right. Let's take some more messages. Your messages are just dropping in case if you're wondering why I'm just reading them, they are just dropping in. AK Isaac in Alausa Ikeja says here the NIM being linked with SIM card is really worrisome and no time. The COVID-19 will increase again because people are already flouting the precautionary measures by bombarding the NIMC office for it. Government should provide a reliable means and resource to sort it out. Regarding COVID-19, government should please increase sensitization for people to wash hands, use face masks at public places, and other precautionary measures. Our economy is very fragile and cannot afford another lockdown. To everyone out there, let's please be responsible to stay safe. Be reminded that this Harmattan period is the usual and normal period to use face masks. So let's take this novel virus very serious and stay protected always during and after the Yuletide season. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. AK Isaac from Alausa Ikeja. All right, let's take this one. Sam Minikoton says, intelligent contribution always from Sumbo. Can we have a LinkedIn ID? All right. So people want to find out what your LinkedIn ID. Sumbo is a very private person. I'm not sure she wants to do that, but let's see. Let's see if we can get her to give out an ID on LinkedIn. All right. Engineer Sojibadi joined Paja said, sometimes I'm ashamed to be a Nigerian. Why? Because I can't imagine a supposedly sane government will give its own citizens just 2 weekend ultimatum to register and link SIMs with NIM. I consider it a joke taken too far. What happened to BVN, National ID card, voters card, another registration we have done in the past? This government, to me, is one encouraging corruption. God help Nigeria. All right, Engineer Sojibadijo sending in that message. And just as I was reading Engineer Sojibadijo's message, and I'm wondering, we have over 100 million Nigerians registered with voters card, and I'm sure the age registered that is above 18, automatically anybody above 18 should be using a mobile phone, should have a SIM card. What happened, like you said, we have done too many registration here and there, this registration, that registration. We are just documenting ourselves, and the point is, what is happening to having a collective data? What is happening to us?
What are they even doing with all the data that we are giving? Do you know, if I bring out my wallet now, I have a national ID card that was done, I think, sometime in 2003. That was the first time.
First time they did it. The
plastic one. Yes. I still carry it, but of course, it's of no effect. Do you understand? We did that. We jettisoned it. All the money that was spent on it, waste. A country of wasters. And of course, again, I think the most important thing that we need to take away from here is the need for synergy among government agencies, and when there is need for it, even private organizations like the service providers. Yes. All of this, look, in the digital age that we're in, data is everything.
Data is everything. It is everything.
It's everything. So we need to find a way, and there's so many ways by which there's so much data available already in Nigeria. We just don't do anything with it. And that's why when you ask me to fill a form, married or single, male or female, I ask myself, all this one what are you doing with that data? What are you doing with it? If I put there that I am single, are there any benefits that are accruing to me? If I'm married, are there, you understand? If there's a single mother, is she getting any tax rebates? Is she getting any, the reason why the Oyibo man does all these things is that it drives their decision making. Nigeria just, we just follow. Now, so Oyibo they do, make we self do the same. That's the thing, having no idea of why and what to do with it. So that's why Nigerians will get weary of doing these things over and over again. Honestly, if I hadn't registered for the NIM and all of that, I wouldn't have been part of, because I will know that this is something that is dead on arrival. In 2 weeks, they can accomplish it.
Well, an extension has already been given.
They still can accomplish it. This is the festive season.
This is the festive season.
Who has time to go and be sitting down?
Yesterday, I opened the phone lines for people to make contributions with regards to how long it will take us to get these things done, and I had answers from we need at least 1 year. I had a few people who are in communication call and say, "Oh, we need at least 5 years." I'm like, no, we can't achieve this in 5 years. Is pretty too much. But
no, I'm
also thinking we need about 6 months.
Maybe it's not rocket science. And within those 6 months, look, there has to be serious sensitization. You don't say you give 6 months and then you go to sleep. You have to keep talking about it, jingles on radio, on TV, on social media, everywhere. To keep telling them when it's 5, we have 5 months left. Oh, hey, you want me them block your number? Guy, go feel. There are communication agencies that know how to put these things right and capture the message. When it's 4 months to go, you let them know. You keep telling them, and then you'll be giving them up. Say, hey, there are 200 million. Only 20 million don't do. Hey, your number go. Do you understand? And by the time you do that for 6 months, I can tell you that you're going to record at least 70-80% of performance
registered. I think one of the first time or the first and only time I had effectively seen the National Orientation Agency do its job was when the drive and the motive for do not drink and drive, and it was not even just National Orientation. Everyone was actually doing this advert. FRSC
Orientation Agency, I don't even know. I mean, their name is not out there. I mean, I remember the days of MAMSA. That was one beautiful, orientation agency that we had in this country. It was a name on the lips of everyone. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't be a Nigerian or live in this country and not know who they are. When they tell me National Orientation Agency, even with all my exposure and all of that, I'm asking you, who be them? If you know what I'm talking about, because I don't see the impact. I don't see the impact. And in a country where your teeming population is illiterate, in the rural areas, people that have little or no education, you need plenty of sensitization.
A lot of it. And a
lot of it. And you go through the communities. Let me say something to you. When the COVID-19 came the first time, the first wave, and the nation was on lockdown, I think I said on this platform that I was monitoring some distribution of some palliatives. Yes. There was something we did along the line, which was called risk, communication, where we used like town criers. There was nothing we didn't do. We did that. We got people to carry microphones and be going within the communities, community mobilization. And then we did jingles, not just in English, not just in Yoruba, because this was Ogun State. We did in the dialect of Ogun State, in Egba, in Ijebu. You understand what I'm talking about? So you need to communicate in the way that the people will understand. But anytime we do anything in this country, our thinking is Lagos and Abuja. Our thinking, you understand? Our thinking is in the cities.
I also feel that with this particular issue that we have right now, this is a great opportunity for the country to collect as much data about the individuals and people of this country, because the NIM is not restricting to just an age group. It's almost as good as we're taking a census, and it's as good as if we can take election ballot papers to riverine communities, to these places. What are we doing to ensure that we engage all the hard dog staffs of INEC in ensuring that they take this registration to those remote places where there are no power supply? Looking at riverine, we saw how during some of the elections, we saw where ballot boxes were,
capsized inside water. Rig.
And
it's those places they rig.
How do we not take these registrations to these people? Because it's really alarming how the government comes up with issues like this. And I want to begin to build that bridge and be able to channel all this thing. But I'm asking myself, these communities where these people are, how come they are still availability of network providers in these regions? What are you doing to bar those networks providers from having their mast in this region, or deactivate it, or tell people if you're going to make use of mobile phone, these are the regions where you can stay? There's a lot more that can be done, and I think NTC has not been able to really do right when it comes to managing this particular situation of security.
Let me tell you one truth. Everything that Nigeria does is about money. If it's not going to bring in money, the Nigerian government and Nigerian officials don't give a hoot about it. You understand? So everything for Nigeria is about revenue drive and revenue generation. And I'll give you an example. When they came up with this MOT thing in Lagos State, it was all like, no, the roadworthiness. My brother, if you have a car, how many times have you driven your car into some kind of garage to actually have it checked for roadworthiness? Nobody does that. You just go, you pay the money, it's automatic. They give you the papers, and so you see all the smoky Joes, on the street. So it's not about caring for the people, it's of their needs, and the things they deserve. No, it's about money. And when you have a nation like that, you have a nation that is absolutely insensitive and cannot even begin to address your needs because it really doesn't have any concern for them.
I'm going to have to wrap up this conversation right now. And I want to say thank you so much, Sumbo, for joining us this morning. And we apologize. The messages really came in really slow this morning. All right. I'm going to try my best to see if I can take 2 or 3. Said, frankly, this NIM can be done easily online without any issue or stress. Can we do the capturing fingerprint, fill the form, use our BVN to link the online forms for automated forms, and then use our NIM easily? We are in the age of digitalization. Ezekiel from Ikeja. It says, down Sumbo, in this festive mood, so we do not... I'm trying to get your comments. Okay, Chooks in Ikeja. I'm going to come back to it. I'm trying so much to go through all of the messages. It says, when late Jerry Rawlings of Ghana executed some past and corrupt leaders, many consider his action as barbaric, but many wise ones knew that Rawlings had rewritten Ghana's history. Today, Ghana is one of the best democracy in Africa, unless Nigeria do same. If not, it may not move forward. It will either it is either corruption kills Nigeria or Nigeria kills corruption. Engineer Soji Badejo. Well, we have to wrap up right now. Thank you so much, Sumbo, for coming. Compliments of the season. Okay, I'm still going to see you this year. Yes, there's still next week. So I wanted to say I'm going to see you next year, but I know there's still another Tuesday before we wrap it off in the year. So thank you so much for your time. At 9 o'clock will be the news, and after the news at 9 is going to be the big question. Stay tuned to be part of the big question.
We are WFM 91.7, the voice of women, using radio as a tool for women development. We condemn the abuse of women, girls, and children in any shape or form. WFM 91.7, the voice of women.
Hi, guy, remember that scholarship I've been applying for? I'm just seeing a mail that I've been invited for an interview.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's good news, though. Let me see. Guy, but this mail has been sent 3 days ago now. The deadline now yesterday now.
Oh my God, how did I manage to?
Now what? And I've been telling you, this is why I'm always on, because I can't afford stories that touch you.
That's right. Stay connected with Spectranet always on data plan. Top internet experience with massive 120 gigabytes data, and it keeps you connected till plan expires. Yes, at Spectranet, you don't just get data, you definitely get additional do more browsing benefits at prices you can't resist. Visit www.spectranet.com.ng for details as terms and conditions apply. Spectranet, do more.
Our friend Oliver is what you call a man with a huge appetite. Gigantic, actually. And if there's one phrase we have come to know Oliver for, it is this:
More data, please.
No matter what we offer him.
More data, please.
So guess what we did? We heard Glow created new data plans for people like Oliver, and we got him exactly that. And guess what Oliver said?
Excuse me, please, is this all for me? Only me?
Now, Oliver certainly has more than enough data. All thanks to the Glow